So this is a response to a video I watched this morning of some young academic who is promoting the complex adaptive systems that uses the term free energy principle, but as Olivier Costa de Beauregard points out, this concept of free energy is actually from people trying to debunk Schrodinger's book, What is Life, where he introduced the concept of negative entropy, and instead they're saying that the free energy is actually from Helmholtz. So Olivier Costa de Beauregard, he has an appendix in his book where he debunks the debunkers, and he says that Schrodinger is correct. It's reverse time energy that enables the paranormal. And at any rate, so one of the quotes I wanted to read is in chapter 4.3. It's section 4, chapter 3. He's talking about Heisenberg, and he says, as the atom is a periodic system, recourse to Fourier series is natural. These, Heisenberg writes, in the exponential complex notation widely used for decades in optics and electromagnetism, where it was considered nothing more than a convenient trick. That it is much more than that, and that it adequately expresses some very deep aspects of nature, capitalized, and will be one of the many revelations coming from quantum mechanics. So this is quite ironic because just like I think it was just yesterday I had watched a video by an electric engineer, and the video was about uses of the imaginary number in complex numbers, and of course he kept emphasizing that the imaginary number is just a mathematical trick, and just as Costa de Beauregard points out that's how it's typically considered. But the whole point of quantum mechanics is that actually that time is a fifth force. It's a new type of energy from non-locality, and so Costa de Beauregard he says that typically the probabilities as amplitudes from the acoustic wave equations are considered just mathematical, virtual mathematics. But except that he uses the concept of the transition amplitude. He says that as a phase, as pure numbers, as phase, then it's not virtual, it's definitely real, and that it overlaps the future with the past, and it's what John Reader called the smoky dragon. And this was the basis for the delayed choice quantum eraser experiment that So the whole point is that because you have inherent time frequency uncertainty, then you also have position uncertainty. So you can decide after the photon has been emitted, you can change the position or the momentum in the past of the photon, as if the photon doesn't exist, it's in future space, because you're able to decide when you literally change the past and predict the future. And so, as if the future already exists, is what I'm saying. And then he also talks about the weak measurements, which is essentially the same thing that Basil or Yakir so they've proven that the double slit experiment is based on the electron having non-local knowledge of whether the other slit is open or not, and so there's like a non-local field, sort of. That's like the fifth force. This is what Professor Basil J. Hiley calls it, as a newly discovered force. And, or this could also be called the spin force, as the intrinsic angular magnitude, so it's, or the spin. So the whole point being that in science they define cognition as well, Costa de Beauregard he refers to Aristotle to describe two different types of cognition, and Descartes. So his point is that when Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," he didn't mean thinking as in thoughts. He meant immediate awareness as a willpower without any actual cognizance as thinking. And so Costa de Beauregard calls this organizing cognition instead of thinking cognition. So it's course, it's difficult to do that. So you need to store energy internally, and that's where you get into alchemy and